Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Christmas or December council meeting, last one of the year. We don't have planning this month, so welcome. We do have Councillor Cairns is joining us electronically, so welcome to her. It is moved by Councillor Cairns, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole agenda of December 16, 2025 be approved as amended. We are removing one of the award presentation. We can look forward to seeing that again another time. And then there's just an added new item, housekeeping item at the end. So please vote on that. And that carries. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest today? Okay, seeing none. And I believe I'm going to Councillor Jorgensen for the land acknowledgement statement.
Thank you, Your Worship. We would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the First Peoples who, for thousands of years before us, were and are still the keepers and caretakers of this land where we now live and work, and in particular the Chippewas of Rama, Wata Mohawk First Nations, and the Moon River Métis. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. We recognize all the generations of Indigenous people and their historic connection to this place, and we are grateful for the opportunity to gather here at this time.
Okay, thank you. Now we do have four deputations today. We'll start off with Mr. Marvin Goldstein. You want to make your way up to the podium? Okay, welcome.
First.
Mr. Goldstein, I'll welcome you and let you know you do have 10 minutes for your presentation, and it'll be kept track of in the corner there, so.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you. I'd like to thank the chairperson and members of council for hearing my deputation today. My name's Marvin Goldstein, who with my wife own a cottage at 1014 Evergreen Court in Gravenhurst. The reason I'm here today is to ask council to consider refunding the $2,000 deposit for a building permit that was retained by the city. Although the final inspection was past the 3-year cutoff, I believe under the circumstances I should receive the deposit back. The permit was first obtained by my contractor, Mike Schofield, November 23rd, 2021, during the COVID pandemic. I believe much of this work, obtaining the permit, was done remotely. I was not aware that there was a time limit as to when the deposit can be returned. The first time I was made aware of this was in a letter I received January 10th, 2025, which was just past the cutoff, but did say if I addressed it immediately, the deposit would be refunded. I have a copy of the letters, if I can circulate, but anyways, at the time I called Mike and he informed him of the situation, and he had said he would attend to it immediately. As we all remember, there was a lot of snow last year and the inspection was done March 5th. At the time, I was advised the inspector wanted to return when the snow had melted so he can easily view the exterior. At the end of the day, the final inspection was finally done June 2025. This was a 6-month delay, and I attended to it as soon as I was made aware of the, it was attended to as soon as I was made aware of this, but the historic snowfall of last winter made the final approval difficult. I understand the funds have been entered into general revenue and left the building department, and that's why I'm here. Christina Hunter, my council person, advised me that it may be possible for council to make an exception and release the funds, which is why I'm here today. I'd be extremely grateful if you could make the exception. My concept of a deposit is not for it to be kept as a penalty, unlike when you don't pay your taxes, your income taxes, and all that. I think that it's more to my disadvantage to not claim it quickly, and more to your advantage, if you keep it longer, you could earn the interest on it or whatever you do with it. But it was just an oversight brought on by the pandemic, brought on by the snow, and I just felt it would be fair as a citizen and a taxpayer of the area here that it be returned to me. It was just, the circumstances were just unavoidable this last winter.
Okay, thank you. Counselor, are there any questions for Mr. Goldstein? I will note that our Chief Building Inspector is, is here as well. Are there any questions for either of those? Okay, so Counselor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, my question is for staff. Were there opportunities or times that staff tried to go out to the property and were not able to because of the snow, or potentially other properties in that area that were able to be looked at, I guess is my question.
Through you, Your Worship, to council member, I don't believe so. We did end up on site on March the 5th. It wasn't able to pass. There was a couple of items on the interior, and then, of course, because of the snow, we wouldn't be able to see the grading or the final outside. So it would have been postponed a little bit till we were able to see everything. There was 3 items on the interior of the bunkie that needed addressed before we could issue that occupancy.
Okay, Counselor Jorgensen?
So I just, thank you, Your Worship, through you. I just want to be clear that was the problem the lateness of the final inspection, or that there were subsequent deficiencies after that inspection that took time to get cleared up?
Through you, Your Worship, a number of things. I think that the final inspection was delayed for whatever reason, and as Mr. Goldstein said, he may not have been aware that the fee was paid if his contractor paid it for him. But the last inspection before occupancy was called was in August of 2022. That was the installation inspection. The next inspection would be a final or occupancy, but it didn't get called for until after the letter was received.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we generally wouldn't make a decision on this here today, and so what would happen is we've heard from you, your point of view and your request, and if a council member wants to bring that forward to the next meeting to grant the request, that can happen, but I wouldn't be able to say whether or not that will happen. So they will. So I'm just letting you know what the next steps are.
So I will hear from somebody, or one way or the other?
Well, I would suspect that if a counselor wanted to be in touch with you and let you know they were doing that, they would reach out to you.
I could just make one recommendation, and that was I did get a letter. It would be, I think, beneficial for the building department to possibly inform people 3 months before the cutoff date so that it can be addressed, because a lot of time went by. I was not aware of it, and it just would have been, as soon as I got the letter, I attended to it. And it would just be beneficial if, let's say, the cutoff date was November 2023 or 2024, maybe a few months beforehand, I get a letter just advising me of that so that it can be attended to more promptly, hopefully in better weather.
Okay, so thank you for
Okay.
coming today. We appreciate it. Mr. Lucas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, I think you sort of wrapped things up procedurally for today, but if at any point a member of council, it's been a while since we've had this policy and program in place to try and resolve outstanding building permits, but if at any point a member of council would like to see a briefing from staff, we're happy to prepare that. We're happy to prepare that for council. And similarly, if there's a desire to get staff's more detailed account on this particular file, the appropriate way to do that would be to request a staff report through a future notice of motion. So I just wanted to speak to the policy piece as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, if there's no other questions around that situation, I will now ask David Uffelman, the Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare Chair, and Cheryl Harrison, President and CEO of Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare, to come up. Welcome.
Thank you very much. So as noted, I'm Dave Uffelman. I'm chair of the board of the hospital. The presentation today, which is going to be an update on what's been happening at the hospital, will be by Cheryl Harrison, our CEO, and then we'll both be available for questions at the end of that. Thank you.
I get to move my slides, is that correct? Okay, great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having us today. Really pleased to come and be able to give you an update of what's been happening at Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare over the last year. Here we go. I always begin with recognition and acknowledgement of the continued support that we get from our foundations and our donors across Muskoka and area. The generosity this past year has made it possible for a new MRI in Muskoka, and I'm sure that everybody can appreciate the travel that people had to do over the years for this important diagnostic test, as well as other important equipment that supports care for people of Muskoka and area. Along with their annual giving, both foundations have been actively planning and launching fundraising efforts for the building of our 2 new hospitals in the future. Partnerships and collaborations are essential for Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare, and I'm really proud to share some of those with you today. These partnerships help our community members live their healthiest lives. As partners with the Northern Ontario School of Medicine University, we are training physicians right in our own hospitals and in our community, and they are often ones that are recruited after their education. Additionally, we have what's called the physician-led local education group. It's also affiliated with the university, and it's instrumental in developing and participating in healthcare research that has an impact in healthcare services right here in our own backyard. There are other several examples of partnership and collaboration efforts on the slide. These partnerships reflect the fact that healthcare does not happen in isolation, and by working closely with our community and regional partners, we can build a more connected, sustainable healthcare system for Muskoka. This slide outlines some of the stakeholder engagement that we've been doing and a few of the things that are new in terms of connecting with our community. We have a CEO advisory table that is made up of community members from all across Muskoka and area. We have our patient experience partners who we listen to, patients and families who are recipients of our care, our political leaders forum, and a new platform that we are proud of is called the Pulse podcast, and we continue to listen and learn from our community. We're also grateful for the strong support, as I mentioned earlier, with our foundations and donors, and we spend a lot of time out in the community engaging with them as well. There's been a lot of uncertainty around obstetrical services at the South Muskoka site, and we are actively exploring options with Ontario Health and the Ministry of Health so that we can make sure we have a safe, sustainable, and high-quality care for the long term in terms of obstetrical services. And unlike many hospitals across the province, we also have similar hurdles that we have to overcome. But however, because of our unique geography and demographics, we have some unique hurdles, like high housing costs and overall low levels of income in our region. However, despite these challenges, Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare continues to adapt and innovate and prioritize patient care. The Ministry of Health and Ontario Health continue to actively review our stage 1.3 submission, and I wish we were hoping for some Christmas news, but it's likely not going to come until the new year. But we have answered all their questions. We're in the process of completing the land acquisition discussions with Bracebridge. These steps bring us closer to breaking ground on our 2 brand new hospitals for Muskoka. The next stage is where we'll be hiring architects and developing block schematics, and this is when the vision really starts to take real shape. The future of healthcare in Muskoka will become tangible. I also wanted to let Council know about, over the past year, we have gone through a strategic plan refresh. As we look forward to the future, everything we're doing is grounded in this new 5-year strategic plan. Our plan is more than just a document. It's our guiding map for the next 5 years, and it's based on community input, staff feedback, and system needs. Our strategic plan identifies 4 key areas of focus. The first one is enhancing quality of care and safety. We're always seeking to improve ways of how we can deliver care and embracing best practices and innovations so we can stay on the leading edge of quality and safety. Our second area of focus is partnership and collaboration, as I mentioned earlier, and we are constantly seeking innovative opportunities, work with other care providers and community partners. Focusing on improving care transitions is important for people during their healthcare journey. Oops, sorry. I can't get it to go back. Our third area is innovative future. And again, we seek opportunities to be more efficient and effective, delivering and sustaining healthcare services across the region. We are including continued efforts in moving forward to move forward with our 2 new hospitals that will be designed for long-term success. And last but not least is our team, which is our strength. Our team members are definitely our strength when delivering high-quality patient care, and we need to ensure that we recruit and retain best of class. Supporting our current team members with education, training, and wellness services, and attracting new team members and showing them the amazing opportunities that exist at Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare. I thank you for your time, and Dave and I look forward to any questions.
Okay, well, thanks for coming today. I mean, we know that our hospitals are a great asset. So thank you, and thanks to the staff who take good care of us when we find ourselves there. So hopefully no one over the holidays, so.
I hope not.
Yeah. Council, are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Varney.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. You touched a bit on the obstetrical, and I have heard that there is no obstetrics at the Bracebridge Hospital. It's all in Huntsville. Is that true?
Yes, we had to, on a temporary basis, consolidate to one site because of staffing issues. But we're in the process of working with the Ministry of Health and Ontario Health to take a look at options for what obstetrical care will look like in Muskoka, and that will include the siting. That is our hope.
Okay, Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. I saw on one of your slides, your collaboration slide, I think, that one of the organizations is the Muskoka Algonquin Ontario Health Team. And I'm just wondering, it's maybe not your bailiwick, but I'm just wondering, it's unclear to me what the role of that Ontario Health Team, how that fits into the picture. I mean, we've had a lot of changes over the recent time, moving from the LHINs and all that involved, and I'm just wondering about that particular organization and what how it impacts healthcare in our area.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it was a move just before COVID for the LHINs to transition into local Ontario Health teams. And so our Ontario Health team is made up of about 16 different partners in the community, including ourselves. And we plan locally for healthcare services as well as community services. So it's similar to what the LHIN was like, but it's a lot more local and providing services. We've done some amazing collaboration work with, for example, the Health Hub here in Gravenhurst, doing certain specific care things with community paramedics. So those are the type of things. The money from the ministry flows through to Ontario Health, and we as partners make decisions about what we want to spend it on. Their focus right now, and I'm sure everybody's been watching this, is on primary care. And so we've been working together to submit action plans so that we can reduce the number of unattached patients in our community that need primary care.
Okay, Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Ms. Harris, on one of your slides, you talked about some of the factors that negate recruiting young doctors to come to Muskoka, high cost of housing and so on and forth. You have that on a slide. My question simply is, what sort of arguments or what sort of, for lack of a better word, arguments, do you use to persuade them otherwise to come here? And in that regard, is there something that this council could do to make things easier for you when you're talking to doctors and trying to recruit them to Gravenhurst, notwithstanding some of those negative factors that they see?
Well, like I mentioned about physicians that are in training and they come, our community does a lot to show them the great and beautiful Muskoka and what's available to them. So the training in the hospital or with primary care physicians often help them make the decision. In terms of housing and those type of things, we do have our hospital housing kind of platform that we do help people to get temporary housing if we can. And the other thing that I think is a real attraction, and I mentioned it earlier, was that they're joining an organization that does research. And for clinicians, that is really quite interesting to be working in a more rural community and being able to actually participate in research. You know, most family doctors come, they're doing something at the hospital, whether it's obstetrics or emergency care or in-hospital care. So we try to market all the great things that are different when you're working in a community hospital.
And if I could just add, let's not forget the great work with the Gravenhurst Health Hub. That makes a huge difference in making it that much easier to attract physicians to the community.
Yes, and thanks for mentioning that. And Ms. Harrison mentioned it earlier, and we're really excited about that. I mean, Rotary is just rocking the fundraising, so couldn't be prouder of this community. And you know, thanks to you, because I know that some of the MAC board or members have come and had a tour of the space, and we look forward to continuing that partnership as well. So I'll go back over to Councillor Varney.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Just wondering, when you are considering the building of the hospitals, would you consider putting in some sort of residential residences for doctors who you're trying to attract, that then you can say, yes, we do have a place for you to live until you can find a permanent place if they're going to stay? Is that something that's part of your plan?
It's not necessarily included in the submission, but we've had some interest from some developers, and why we wanted to make sure we have enough property at both sites. I think it's an excellent idea, and especially just for temporary, while they're in school even. And that goes beyond physicians. We train a lot of nurses and other healthcare providers, and having that type of residence would be a great idea.
Okay, Council, is there anyone else? Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Okay?
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. Thanks for coming. Okay, next I'm going to invite John Kerr, G&J Holdings. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. My name is John Kerr. My business is called Northside Johnny's. We've just moved back into this area. We put on events, chainsaw carving events. If some of the people that have been here for a while, they remember some of the events we did. Then we moved south and been down there for a couple of years, 9 years down there. I just finished buying some property on Avenue D here and the highway, Highway 11. And next year we would like to put on a carving event that I'd like to inform everybody that's knowledgeable for the whole area of our intentions of doing it, because we usually talk to the different towns if we put them on, and keep them included in some of our things. We always have at least a dozen chainsaw carvers where it's here for a 3-day event. They bring in, for all the people that we advertise to that come to buy the stuff, they come in here, they bring a lot of money into the areas, which helps out everybody in the area. We've done them before I did a couple at Canadian Tire, one at Gull Lake, one down at the wharf, the property that you have on the other side of the wharf. And I think our first one was 2009. So one like this, and that's when we were beside the Independence store, just that little path there, and that was 6 carvers. So I just would like to come and introduce you. We're trying to do something next year in April 17th, 18th, and 19th. We haven't got an area yet, but we're going to make it inside Gravenhurst. So I thought I'd just come out here and introduce myself and that, and see if there's any questions of anybody that wants to be more knowledgeable of it, and keep you people informed.
Well, that's great. Thanks for coming today. And I'm not sure, have you been in touch with our recreation and staff at the Centennial Center and our event staff?
I just signed for the property as of yesterday.
Oh, okay,
So
great.
that's how close it was, but I
Okay.
wanted to talk to you this year. You know, one of the times when we did a carving event was down by the wharf.
Okay.
The property on the other side of, right across from Boston Pizza, like this. Most of our problems that we have at carving events is there's not enough parking. So that's what we wanted to really look for as much parking as when we did the with Shago at the beach, and that we found that we just had a problem with that. So that's what we're going to be looking for for the areas that we're going to do the carving events in.
Okay, so I will suggest that Shauna is our Director of Culture and Recreation, and I think that's the best place to start,
Yep.
is to connect with that department. So maybe, Shauna, we can, I'm not sure if you have a card, you can connect.
yeah.
And that's the best place to start, but very interesting. I think, it's quite an art that you do.
They're a lot of
so-
fun over the years. Some of the guys that just started with us, Jake Rose, went to the United States and won 2 years in a row, one of our carvers. And that's real big competition.
Yeah.
And we've had some other people like that. You got a moose down in your hallway down here that we did
Okay, yeah, we just
12
took a picture in front of that, actually, for our
12
Christmas
years ago
greeting.
and things like that. And
Yeah,
And it's nice because then you can get the businesses behind it too. At one time, we used to get businesses to sponsor it, the carvers. We just found it, there's a lot, we didn't want to put pressure on that way. We'd rather put pressure on advertising for us, you know?
sure. Well, that's great. So you'll make that connection. Are there any questions, council? Councillor Varney?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. We have an arts festival at the last weekend in September in the town, and I'm hoping maybe you might like to get involved in that.
Well, I have no problem, I just picked a spring date because it gets people out and shopping, and that's what I found that when we did a couple in Aurelia, the first events were the best events. You know, there was a lot, but yes, definitely, we'd like to get in touch with it, you know.
So I will get in touch with Shauna.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And I didn't mean to overstep anybody here and anything else. I just thought we could get a chance of get the signature on my property, and as I said, it finally came through like that. So, and I moved from Severn to there. We've got all our stuff there, you know, and I have 9 carvers right now. And then we just add to some independents after that. So we had, when we just did the last one at Otis Park, we had 32, all the way from BC and everything else. So that was a really good event. And as I said, it all comes down to how much money they bring into the area too. So it's like that, it's good. So I'm looking forward to working with the city.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's great. I do have another question for you
Yeah.
through Counselor Hunter. So Counselor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. I'm just curious, does each carver bring their own insurance with them, or is
Yeah,
that?
we have an insurance policy, and if they don't, we make sure they hook up with insurance. And we have clearances every time for anybody's in the area. We put up safety fence in front of the carvers too. Yeah, we like to give them enough room, but still for people to walk around and be able to see them carving, so.
Great, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Well, we'll look forward to you guys making a connection, and we will see what happens next.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you
I
very
guess you
much.
got a surplus in the spring. I guess you probably got a lot of product, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to be so careful because if it's shook a little bit, it's no good. So.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
anything
well,
about it.
you're carving and all of a sudden it starts cracking on you because of what happened from before. So, and lots and
Wow.
lots and lots of trees. You know, Dan the woodman has been with me for years and years, and I think he has about 4 crews, and they bring us, and we get to pick out the quality logs and everything else, and hand in hand with him, and
Great.
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck on your event, and we'll see, maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very
Okay.
much for
Yeah,
having
have a
me.
nice holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today. Okay, so next I've got GAP, but I didn't see anyone from GAP here. Okay. So, seems, yeah. As I know that there was one cancellation, is that right? Like, there was going to be 2, but then we heard that only 1 was coming. So I guess now there is none. So we'll follow up with them and see what happened. Okay. So with that, I have a consent agenda here. It's moved by Councillor Johnston and second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the following consent agenda item be approved. Minutes, Accessibility Advisory Committee, October 30th, 2025. Report, Revised Accessibility Policies. Report, 2025 Annual Accessibility Status Report. Report, 2026 Interim Levy and Temporary Boring Bylaws. A report, Proposed Amendment to Parking Control Bylaw, number 2025-70. Councillor, are there any questions? Anybody want to pull any of those? Okay, seeing none. Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Lucas, we get to have a verbal update from the RE, the Highway 11 Corridor Maintenance and Winter Preparedness. So take it away, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This will be a bit of a collaborative verbal presentation here, but I'll kick things off here, and really my plan is to sort of briefly advise of that staff attended a meeting in late October on this topic, and the general, I'll touch on some of the general themes of that conversation. Then I'll kick things over to Mr. Stacy to talk about some of our winter maintenance preparation generally, and then over to Mr. Clapp with respect to preparedness from the Emergency Control Group and advice in terms of personal preparedness during storm events as well. So there's been extensive formal and informal debriefing that's been occurring over the last year. We're just past the anniversary of the storm event from late November, early December last year. So lots of informal and formal debriefing that's been occurring. And although with credit to Detachment Commander Beebe from the OPP and district staff for hosting, we did attend a meeting that was coordinated at the district offices on October 30th of this year to do a really deep dive before the winter season got going into the planning for the upcoming winter season, particularly as it relates to corridor management of Highway 11 and other significant corridors. Some of the stakeholders that attended that meeting included the OPP, of course, district engineering and public works staff, district paramedics, area municipal CAOs, infrastructure staff, public works, fire and emergency management staff as well. The Ministry of Transportation was there, as was Fowler Construction, of course, who have the contract for corridor maintenance of Highway 11 in our area. So during the winter storm event, I think there was lots to be proud of course, and we considered a report, I think it was in late January, earlier this year, to talk about our reflections on that event. But of course, there were certainly lots of lessons learned along the way, and a lot of those things we talked through during the meeting in October and spent a lot of time doing so. General themes of that meeting included really lines of communication amongst all stakeholders. As it relates to Highway 11 corridor management, the general thought that we received was that the communication between the OPP and the Ministry of Transportation has greatly improved since last year's event. We talked a lot about roles and responsibilities, who does what, if we were ever to run into something similar again. We talked about traffic closure coordination, sort of who makes those decisions, who actions those. We talked about emergency detour routes, the challenges that we see and preferences for where traffic should be ideally directed. And we talked about towing, vehicle removal, staging areas, and the capacity of towing companies in this area to clear trucks and other vehicles off the highway so that we don't run into what we ran into last year, which was obviously a significant snow event, but also a closed highway for multiple days. So at the meeting, we shared extensive data, contact lists, maps were shared. Suffice to say that all agencies appear to be as prepared as they can be for this winter season, where I think we're in it already. Though I'm not sure it's reasonable to suggest that anyone would be fully prepared and resourced to deal with what we dealt with last year. That was quite a comedy of tragedies, I guess, if you will, that led to where we ended up last year. But we do have significantly more contacts, external resources to draw on that we learned from last year's event as well. So obviously a lot of detail was discussed during that meeting. I won't go through all of it, but really the takeaway for today is that the conversations really never stopped after last year's snow event. We wrapped everything up in a bit of a bow, I guess, at the end of October and talked through a lot of details. Proactive communication and other aspects of the storm event and in the event that we were to see something like that again. So with that, Madam Mayor, I think I'll pass things over to Mr. Stacy, who also attended the meeting, and just to cover off some of our winter maintenance preparedness messaging. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO, and good afternoon, Mayor Lorenz and members of council. Well, I am pleased to say, from a town perspective, we are ready for winter for 2026 season, and continue with last year's winter program. We will be following the minimum maintenance standards for provincial highways and municipal highways, but that is not to say we provide minimum levels of service. That on a daily basis, I think it's important for the community and council to be aware that we exceed those standards on a daily basis under normal working conditions. And really, we rely on the MMS standards when we get into a position where we have a situation that's unavoidable, downed resources, a storm event that's beyond our ability to address based on the times of the MMS. But generally, we are well prepared and well suited to meet whatever 2026 is going to throw at us. Even though winter set in late November, for many months and weeks leading up to winter, we're preparing for that inevitable winter season, and staff training has been ongoing for several weeks. Staff have been patrolling their routes, making sure they're familiarized themselves, and through that time period, equipment has also been calibrated and outfitted for the winter season. And I'm pleased at this stage, all of the equipment is available to us at this particular time. And we are also starting to see plow units and new equipment start to roll into the department. These are planned replacements that we procured as far back as 2023. But there was a bit of a backlog due to the availability of the equipment, and we're just starting to see those pieces of equipment come on board. Our sidewalk machines have also been transitioned to blower mode, which means they now have the snow blowers on them opposed to the plows, which is general for a winter season. At the beginning of the season, you use your plow blades, and then as you get into the thick of things, you transition to those plows. So I'm pleased that they are ready to go as well. And as highlighted in my budget presentation earlier this month, I spoke of some new equipment that council provided us this year. And we now have a grader available to us that we can do ice plating and a small 1-ton dump unit that can be used for localized winter control. I would like to take the opportunity to thank this council for the recent passing of the capital budget. We are hoping to procure a new tractor and blower to help us with snow removal activities and working in some of those denser subdivisions, and a second 1-ton plow dump that'll also be used again for treating those smaller, narrower sections of our community for more localized winter control. We are developing those specifications right now as we speak, and I envision that within the first quarter, those units will be in service and benefiting the community. As council is aware, last winter, unfortunately, we lost our salt dome due to an excessive snow load on the roof throughout the summer months. So that salt dome has now been repaired. And as part of our salt management plan, we now have blended sand and treated salt under an impervious covered shelter that's, again, available to treat our road surfaces. And so I'd say all in all, at this point in time, our winter control bylaw is fully actionable. And we also have some further plans that we developed throughout the winter control, but through the emergency event that we can rely on as well to help us through the winter season. What I will say through the winter event, as difficult as it was, from a staff perspective, we continued in the operational protocols that our current policy is existence today. And with the benefit of additional resources from other area municipalities, that's how we saw things through. But it really hammered home that our operational plan is a good one. It works even under extreme conditions. And hopefully it'll serve us for many years to come. But next year will also be a bit of a refresh to that bylaw. And I anticipate it'll be in front of council at the end of this winter season. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go over to Deputy Chief Klopp.
Thank you.
Great, welcome.
Through you to council. Certainly on the heels of the two most significant recent storms in history, our Emergency Control Group and Emergency Management Planning Committee have been very busy this year in a number of aspects, continuing our training as we do from year to year, but more importantly, the learnings from these last two weather events, including them in our plans and ensuring that our plans continue to grow and become more and more robust as these weather events continue to increase in frequency. They will no doubt help with our future management of these events. It was really surprising to me after these couple of events how interested the community was going to be, how interested the province was going to be. We've provided a number of presentations to groups across the province, associations, other municipalities, community groups, most recently Ride Community Co-op, and even Environment and Climate Change Canada. I had the opportunity to present to their meteorologists on our experience with the weather event. So very happy to hear. Unfortunately, it takes events like this to sometimes draw interest, but the community is engaged. We're hearing from a lot of people, and we are very happy to share emergency preparedness information and tips to them. So I'm going to hop right into that. As we lead into another winter season, we highly encourage everyone to subscribe to weather alerts. They are very accessible in many different ways, on your smartphone, your computer, local radio, you name it. It's pretty difficult to not be able to have access to that information. And heed the advice of what the weather events are saying, or what the forecast is saying. We would really like to see people not travel if they don't have to. Unnecessary travel was really detrimental to our management of the two emergencies that occurred in the last few months. In terms of access for our snow crews to get out there and clean roadways, and also emergency services to get to the places that they were called to. 911, use it for emergencies only, please. We had a number of calls over the last 8 or so months that were perhaps unnecessary for 911. We certainly understand people not having information at their fingertips, but that's why we talk about these things, and that's why it's so important for people to be prepared ahead of time. Preparation of your home. Again, as we're leading into another cold and hopefully not too snowy of a season, maintaining generators and your snow removal equipment is super important. Make sure that they're working ahead of time. Don't wait for an event to occur to make sure that they're working. We heard from a number of people through our events and afterwards that they assumed because they had a generator that it was going to work, but it wasn't necessarily the case when the power did go out and they tried to start it, that it was ready for them to use. Generators are not really designed to run for as long as they did, so ongoing maintenance is also important. And we heard again from a number of people that didn't expect that, and it's surprising to all of us. I mean, we don't expect these events to take the power out for a number of days, but they can last very, very long, longer than we expect. So in terms of generators and barbecues, you'll be surprised to hear that we still had a number of people operating those in places like garages that caused a number of CO, carbon monoxide dangers. We responded to a number of carbon monoxide calls that had dangerous levels of carbon monoxide in their homes, certainly more so than during normal times. So the danger is real. I know sometimes it's a matter of convenience to operate those things where they're accessible, but please keep in mind the CO dangers as well. Chimneys and wood stoves, I think for the most part, those that use them on a regular basis, maintain them on a regular basis, they get them swept and inspected as often as they should, and that's on an annual basis. What surprised us was the number that aren't used on a regular basis, that community members tried to use when the power was out for a number of days, and of course, because they weren't maintained, that didn't cause, or it caused a number of issues. We learned firsthand that the accessibility of fuel during power outages was not as accessible as we would hope. And we rely on that. Everyone relies on fuel so heavily to heat, to move around, to run their generators. So I highly encourage everyone before events, if it looks like the weather forecast is gonna not be a very nice one, fuel up those jerry cans, top up your propane for your generators and your fuel at home, and prepare to be without for a few days, because we know that can happen. When snow is accumulating, it's easier to clean it up periodically than wait till the end of the event. Our friends from MAHC have left, but I'm certain that our cardiovascular systems appreciate when we clean things up a little more often than when there's 5 feet of snow. And it's easier on our equipment. I'm sure Director Stacy can attest to that. Don't forget about your appliance vents. As you're cleaning off your driveway with the amount of snow that can accumulate over time, we need to remember that the vents need air, both intake and exhaust, because that can also cause carbon monoxide. Emergency kits. We used to talk about 72-hour emergency kits being sufficient. The last couple of events have shown us that that's maybe not the case. So they don't need to be, you can use things around your home, like your pantry that you already have to ensure that you can last a number of days. You don't necessarily need to create a special kit, but have things on hand that can get you through these events. And the events have certainly shown us some of the things that we ran out of very quickly. Battery power for our smart devices was certainly one of them for those that don't have generators. But more importantly, food, water, medication, to last everyone in your household, including pets, for a number of time, a week perhaps. First aid kits, as much as emergency services will eventually get to you, these events certainly slow everyone down. So to have the ability to administer some first aid at home is also very, very important. You'd be surprised how often folks are not able to produce important documents like insurance information, like driver's licenses and things like that because of emergencies. So we highly recommend that you take a copy of those important documents, take a copy or a photo. If you have your phone attached to your hip most of the time, you can access those very, very easily. In the car, also important, again, we recommend that you heed the advice of the meteorologists and of the weather alerts to not travel if travel is going to be difficult. But if you must go out, it's also a good idea to have some tools in your toolbox to help you if you get stranded out on the road. And those may be blankets or booster cables, traffic vests, non-perishable food, water. This last snow event really showed us that a number of vehicles stranded were only stranded because they were stuck. There's a lot of devices like traction pads that you can buy for your vehicle to help you get out of a bind. Again, first aid kits, things like that. The events have really shown us that our communities come together. We have seen them check on neighbors, and that's very, very important to check on your community and to be kind. It's difficult for everyone. We are all doing our best, But often these things slow services down, and as much as we can help each other, the more, the better our community is. So, thank you.
Yeah, an exclamation point on be kind. I like that. Council, I mean, a lot to talk about there. Before I put it to you, I'll just thank everyone for their presentations. You know, not fun memories, but like I said, some of the things that, the kindness will stick with me. And the, you know, Todd, look, this cool demeanor that he has, boy. Cool hand Luke over there. Anyway, I'll go over to Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. And I guess my first comments and questions are for the Deputy Chief. First of all, you just briefly mentioned the session you just had for emergency preparedness at the Ride Co-op. And I'm pleased to know or to report that I think there was like 35 people that came out. And, you know, that's the type of engagement I think that we need in the community out there, because people are, you know, they hear the same presentation and it helps them to work together. So I just want to say thanks for that, because I know heading out there and doing presentations like that is it's an important part of the job. It's a question I have specifically about road access, I guess. It's funny, when I was coming up from Toronto on Saturday, I had checked on Ontario 511, which is another good resource to let you know what the road conditions are. And I knew there was a section between Aurelia and Gravenhurst where there were snow squalls. And I was surprised this time, because I always have my Google Maps going too, and the Google Maps actually said, okay, you're going to be heading into a section of bad road conditions. And it also said, do not use the secondary roads. I was surprised. That's the first time I'd ever heard that. Because as I recall, you know, this was a major problem when the highway was closed and everybody headed out. I know in our area, everybody headed out Coopers Falls Road, a secondary road, and just created more mayhem out there with tractor trailers stuck and all kinds of stuff. So I guess my question is, so who's responsible? Are we able to close those secondary roads? Who's responsible for that? How does it work? I know, like, the problem perhaps is the first section is Simcoe County, where you come off the highway onto Coopers Falls Road, but there may be other jurisdictions like that. I don't know. That's probably the only one I can think of in the town. But who's responsible, and are we able to close those roads? And then how does that work? Because if we could head off that problem, if we ran into that again, I think it would be a real beneficial thing.
Mr. Lucas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and if any of my colleagues want to waive and supplement, feel free. But that was actually a huge part of the conversation that we had at the meeting in October. Probably the primary piece or primary topic that we discussed, but and that's where the communication lies and the discussion around roles and responsibilities, and who actually closes the road, who makes the call, who makes the proactive decision to determine where on the highway we actually close the highway, and what's the most ideal detour route. Because I don't think the intention is to have no detour routes, but we don't have ideal routes in Muskoka generally, but there's more ideal ones than others. So a lot of the data and feedback that we gave and the mapping was, where do we feel there is the most appropriate road, which is primarily 100 series highways off of Highway 11. But that's where that proactive communication needs to occur. And a lot of the talk was around, at what point does the OPP make a decision about closures? How early in the storm do they make that call? And then where, in communication with the municipalities, Ministry of Transportation, other highway corridor maintenance folks, where do we start to direct people and where do we prioritize winter maintenance, who actually closes the other roads. But it's interesting that you bring up the Municipal 511 because that's a key piece, and I didn't actually realize that there was such a direct connection between that and mapping platforms. There's a bit of a delay, as I understand it. I want to say maybe a half an hour between when something gets uploaded to Municipal 511 and then it's reflected on those maps. The mapping companies aren't really interested in having conversations, as I understand it, about showing closures based on requests from municipalities, but they will respond, as I understand it, to platforms like Municipal 511. So there's so many different players, so many different roles in making the decisions about when and where closures occur. That was the value in the meeting that we had, creating basically chat groups and who's informing Municipal 511 that then has that trickle-down effect in terms of determining where roads are closed, and then the municipalities have an obligation to actually physically close the roads at this point. So lots of opportunities to be more effective from that perspective, but we talked a lot about sort of what the existing roles are and how we can maximize those this upcoming year and then advance those conversations into the future. So I don't know, gentlemen, if there was anything else that you wanted to add. No? Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. That actually was going to be my question, was about the roads and the GPS and sending transports specifically down routes that they just couldn't get down. And so my question was going to be, whose role is it to, I guess, sort of get that updated? But then I started thinking, after listening to your answer, is it possible to maybe put some signage up or something that would say, not, how like if you would see it by a bridge that says a transport shouldn't go under this bridge, like this road isn't, I don't know what the language would be, but something, if your GPS is telling you go down this road, at least a sign there would say it's not appropriate, summer or winter, because some of those roads really, if that's the alternate route, a transport can't get down it even in the summer. So I don't know if there's an answer there or not, but it was just sort of my train of thought.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that it's certainly a possibility into the future. We discussed a lot about the ability to even triage the types of vehicles that can go down certain roads, and there just isn't the decision-making capacity on site by the OPP or ministry that quickly to be able to make those decisions. So it's basically you need to determine what your detour route is, direct people, use whatever tool you have to direct those folks to that. But they won't be in a position to say, well, this type of vehicle, ideally we'd be in a position to say, okay, well, this road's fine for a passenger vehicle, but not for a transport truck. There just isn't the on-site capacity to be able to do that at this point. So it's really just a matter that the best we can do, in addition to the mapping updates, which I think is key, because I think people throw on their maps and say, okay, well, this isn't the right route. What's the map tell me to do? So it sounds like we're making advancements that way. But there's other opportunities in terms of infrastructure at intersections as well, whether there's gates or something like that into the future. There's all kinds of options that we started to discuss at that meeting, but we sort of tabled that for the time being to say, okay, these are the tools we have right now to work with. How do we make the best of that? And then each municipality that was in attendance was asked to provide, one or two or whatever the number is of ideal routes to send vehicles down in the event that, and then they can make decisions about where the closures can occur. Good.
Okay, Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. My question is, my email, I'm sure everybody's blew up, and we spent a lot of time on the phone with residents answering questions. And the reason we were so busy is that they knew they didn't need to contact 911. It wasn't a 911 call because the propane truck didn't come, but how can I get my issue resolved? Has the district, probably not just Gravenhurst, but has the district ever considered a 311 service where they would have, they know it's not a 911, but it's an issue, that we would set up that kind of a backup plan. Because even though I got the calls, I would have to find the answers to get back to the resident, which meant you were answering me and my fellow counselors over and over again with the same thing, instead of having a centralized, floods, all the things that we're having. Has it ever been discussed?
Director Stacy, you're going to take this?
Through you to Councillor Morphy, I'm not aware of a discussion that's taken place around that, but again, as CAO Lucas has alluded to, there's been a myriad of discussions of recent, of how can we put ourselves in a better position to communicate outwards to the public, and that may be some of that discussion that intuitively becomes part of the dialogue, but at this stage of the game, I'm not aware of a 311 that you're suggesting.
Okay, I'm just going to touch on, I think when we did our communications out, I mean, we had a fair-sized list of resources for, I'm looking over at Mr. Jennings, our communications specialist, and that list did have a number of resources on it, and the clerk's department also did. If people were calling the town, we did have sort of a triage of things, because that's what those Georgian Bay first responders or the Georgian Bay search and rescue were doing. They were delivering fuel, they were delivering food and things like that. So, I mean, not in a propane truck, but I think we did a pretty good job with 2 days' notice, the resources that we did have available. So I will go over to Councillor Jorgensen. You had your light on.
Well, yeah, again, my question is about this preparedness stuff. So it's probably for Deputy Chief Clapp again. And so, I think we did learn a lot of lessons, but I'm wondering, how do we, the session you did, Ride Co-op, everybody needs to hear, I think. How do we do that? And if people didn't learn a lesson with that last snowfall, I don't know, what else is going to hammer that home. And it's a lot of it's simple things. If you do have a generator, is it working? Things like that. But the thing I have is these communication networks. How do you check on the neighbors who need help? How as a community is there some kind of tools that we could use to, make sure that people who need help or who need looking after are being helped? Because there's a lot of people who want to help, and that needs some coordination there as well. So I'm just wondering if we have any thoughts that way of it's along the lines of the resources, but where the community can find out who else, what they can do without being in the way, I guess.
I like that you said without being in the way, because some of the, first thing was stay off the roads. I mean, I think that was the number one message for the first couple days of that emergency was don't create another emergency for us. We don't need any more people on the roads and things like that. So I think you sort of answered your own question there, but Deputy Chief, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you for the question, through you to the councillor. Yes, I agree. I think that some of the answers have already been said, though, in directing people to the resources that we had provided, including the website, including the tracking document that Director Thibault and her team had created, and the one phone call with general inquiries for us to be able to track that and get people in touch with the correct people. So we developed those tools through the last emergency, and I'm sure in future we're going to be utilizing similar tools.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Well, I mean, again, not my fondest memories for sure, but I believe we did a good job for what we were dealt as you called it, a comedy of tragedies. I couldn't agree more. So again, thanks, everybody, and I think this time, if it were to happen again, we would have learned some lessons. Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Excuse me. This may be for Mr. Mike. Do we not have a communication platform where people subscribe to it? And we send out alerts and information like that. And I know that tool is being evolved, and now there are platforms where you can share information amongst each other. You know, it's like a giant telephone line where you're sharing with all your neighbors. So that might be one way that we can get some of this information out that Councillor Jorgensen and Councillor Hunter talked about. But we do have a platform like that, do we not, Mr. Lucas?
Well, stay tuned, because next on our list is to invite Mr. Jennings up to do the 2025 Strategic Corporate Communications Review. So I bet you we can get you in the answer in that.
Okey-doke.
Does that work for you?
Yep. well,
Great.
Works.
Okay. Anybody else on the storm? Okay, and actually, we do have the neighborhood thing. It's called Facebook, but I would highly recommend, that you stay off of that during these things. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, so with that, we didn't have a motion there. So I do have resolution moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Robinson. Be it resolved that report number LEG 2025-11, RE 2025 Strategic Corporate Communications Review be received for information. Mr. Jennings?
Hello. I'll walk everyone through the report and touch on sort of the highlights, and then I'll entertain questions I'm proposing, Your Worship, and then come back to Councillor Johnston's questions a moment ago. Is that a good approach?
Sure, yes.
Okay, thank you. So the report's kind of self-explanatory, but what I wanted to touch on was the work that we were doing throughout this past year. We did, or will have done by the end of this month, 12 monthly e-newsletters. These are sent out to subscribers. We have approximately 1,200 subscribers at the moment, and we continue to encourage people to sign up for the newsletter. This was new this year, we did 4 print newsletters. These went out through Canada Post, with the exception of the September edition, which due to the postal labor dispute, if I can call it that, we did not utilize that service, but we did make hard copies available at locations in the community, such as the Centennial Centre, the library, here at the municipal office. But the other issues went out through Canada Post. Internally, we did 2 staff e-newsletters, a spring newsletter and a fall one, which touched on relevant information and accomplishments for our team here at the municipality. We issued a total of 118 news releases throughout the year, covering a variety of topics. These were published to our website, and they were shared through our social media channels and our e-newsletter. And then new this year, we did our service delivery video, which I think I hope you've all seen by now. If you have not, I will send you the link. It was produced to highlight the multiple ways that the town provides services to residents and visitors. And we made the video available through Facebook, X, YouTube, muskokaregion.com. And since the launch this fall, it has had 34,000 views, which is pretty impressive. We also did shorter reels regarding municipal service, and these featured the Gravenhurst Fire Department, our chief, and other department heads, infrastructure services, development services, and the Gravenhurst Opera House. We did some shorter videos this year, one showcasing the Mayor's Tea, Gravenhurst Fire Department graduation, and the most recent one was the new pumper truck out at the station in Barkway. We continued to do our Stay in Touch campaign throughout the year. This ran on our social media channels and also on muskokaregion.com. This encourages people to follow us by signing up for our news release alerts through email, for our e-newsletter, highlighting opportunities to watch meetings such as this. So that continued. And speaking of council meetings, we did, or will have done by the end of this month, 12 council highlight reports. So these are reviews of each meeting, sort of a synopsis of various items on the agendas, as well as links to the staff reports and links to the actual video of the meeting for those who wish to watch and listen to the discussion. We did 3 FAQs this month. One was on marriage license and civil ceremonies. Another one was on our art wall project behind the clerk there is some of the work. And another one was on short-term rentals. And in terms of Engage Gravenhurst, our engagement platform, we did a total of 6 projects this year: Battle for the Barge, Asset Management, Cinema Under the Stars, Rates and Fees, and the municipal budget, as well as a follow-up communications survey, which I will speak to a bit more in a moment. In terms of in-person communications initiatives, we participated in the Gravenhurst Farmers Market with our information table over the summer. Actually ran into the fall, so there was 18 weeks. And this was a great way for us to connect with residents one-on-one, to talk to them, hear their concerns, address their questions, and it was a way for us to also share different pieces of collateral information, handouts with them. A new initiative this year was Coffee with Council, which we hosted on September the 27th in the Terry Fox Auditorium. And the aim of this was to allow council members and the public an opportunity for an informal dialogue about community matters. And we are just sorting out a date for a second Coffee with Council in 2026. It'll be early in the new year. There was the Mayor's Tea at the Gravenhurst Opera House in June, and our CAO hosted 2 town hall sessions here in this room, as well as over at Public Works. And these are an opportunity for us to talk internally about strategic initiatives and various operation matters, and there was also Q&A at the end of each session. Media inquiries, we fielded 30 general media inquiries. I think it's now at 33 since I produced the report here. Inquiries varied from reporters wanting interviews to such things as requests for information about council decisions, programs and services. Some of the media outlets that we heard from, CTV News Barrie, Cogeco, Muskoka Life Magazine, CBC Radio, 705 Blackfly, CTV News Toronto, Muskoka Today, CBC News National, CBC News Newfoundland, Moose FM, and Cottage Life. Shifting to 2026 initiatives, we'll continue with a multi-pronged approach focusing on digital, print, radio, and in-person communications initiatives. New initiatives for 2026. Early next year, we will pilot a new texting service as another way to communicate with residents and visitors. This will be for non-emergency communications, but it's something I think we could also use during emergency type events. Staff will be working very closely with legislative services to support communications needs for the 2026 municipal election. And we will be expanding our use of video products to tell municipal stories. We're just starting to work on another video like the service delivery video we did, another topic. We'll also be working with Director Stacy to develop communications tools that will support our asset management plan so that residents understand the value of investing in our assets and looking after them. And we will work with various staff to support their communication needs throughout the customer service review that we're going to be doing. I mentioned the survey a moment ago that we did through Engage Gravenhurst. This was a follow-up one that we did at the start of our communications strategic project. We heard from nearly 160 people. Most respondents identified as being residents of the town. Generally speaking, they were pleased with our communications tactics, but they did express a desire for even more information about municipal programs, services, council decisions. Most felt well informed, but they did identify room for improvement, and that's certainly something that we're always striving to achieve. Most respondents were looking for municipal information identified the town's website as their primary source that they would go to, which is good. They also noted Facebook and our e-newsletter, and Google and the town's information kiosks were other popular choices. So there's a kiosk over at Gull Lake Rotary Park, and we have some other locations where those are set up, and we promote and rotate out information on them on a regular basis. Event information was identified as the news people are most interested in hearing about, and other popular topics included bylaw changes, council news, economic development information, and tourism information. People identified direct email and online surveys as their preferred way of consultation, followed by in-person meetings. Suggestions that we had for enhanced communication included a desire for more information about infrastructure projects, the need for a digital information sign, a weekly update from the town via the website so that people could subscribe to that, more advance notice about events and activities, a need for a text messaging service, and continued increased use of social media. So that's some of the suggestions we received. So we conclude that 2025 was a successful year for us, and we look forward to working on new projects in 2026. And we'll continue to review the survey results as well. Your Worship.
Thank you. Boy, you do a lot. You know that you work with the departments, and we try and get these messages out. So I will ask Peter Johnston, or Councillor Johnston, to please, it is you, to repeat your question for Mr. Jennings.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Before I do that, I just want to say this is a magnificent report, a magnificent report. I don't say that lightly. I couldn't be more pleased. And but before I ask my question and then make a couple of very brief comments about public engagement, I've told this gentleman here twice in the last 3 or 4 months how pleased I am with what he does. When I ran for office, this is not a judgment call, so don't, apropos to what we're talking about, don't kill the messenger. But during the election, one of the issues that a lot of people talked to me about was communication, that they didn't think that it was as fast and reliable as it should be. And as I said, that's not a judgment call. I'm just repeating what was told to me. However, this gentleman here has taken that to a whole new level. I told him the other day that, in fact, I told him this a couple of times, about, I sometimes over the years when I've met people whose title ends with specialist, after I've met them, I go, really? Really? Not this gentleman. No, everything that Mr. Jennings does shows that he is, in fact, a communication specialist or wizard. And the public response, people that have talked to me about communication coming out of this office from a lot of staff, but communication strategy is superb. It really is. And so I want to thank him for that. My question, Mr. Jennings, was I think there's some sort of app that we have where you subscribe to it and we can send out information and alerts to people about things that are going on. Am I correct in that?
Through you, Your Worship, to the councillor. Yes, we have, it's called Voyant Alert. And so people with a smartphone can download the app and register. And in certain emergency situations, we will be able to send them either a single message or multiple messages. It's another reason, though, that I encourage people to always go to our website and sign up for our news releases, because that's another primary tool. And so while the app will come directly to your phone, if you sign up for news releases or other types of information on our website, that will come directly into your email inbox. So there's multiple ways that people can stay connected with us. The monthly e-newsletter is another one. Obviously, we wouldn't use that in an urgent situation where we needed to convey immediate information, but it's a good way to stay up to date every 30 days on stuff that's happening here at the municipality.
Subsequent?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, just a question. A point that Deputy Chief made, and on that Voyant app, Mr. Jennings, is it possible for either Councillor Hunter or Councillor Jorgensen's question, where neighbors want to inquire or share something with their neighbors? Is the app such that you can share, if you're on the app, you can share information with each other? So send out information rather than receiving it, but sending out information that might be applicable to people in their neighborhood. Is that possible on the app? Or is there a tool these days where that is possible, that they can do that? I think that would be, you know, the storm we had that was such a traumatic event for so many people, certainly including our mayor. And, but it was evident that, you know, and again, to use the word that the Deputy Chief ended with, kindness. So many people were kind during that event. I mean, that's what struck even some international news outlets, how kind people were in Gravenhurst during a very traumatic event. And so if there was some sort of way, Mr. Jennings, that people, the kind people in Muskoka could share information with their neighbors or ask, I need some help here, that their neighbors, they perhaps could do the help, rather than having to call a 511 or 311 number, they do that on that app. Is that possible? Thank you, Your Worship.
Through you, Your Worship. So Voyant doesn't allow that type of functionality. However, technology is always changing, so there may be solutions like that in the future, and that's one of the reasons that myself and others in the organization, we go to conferences and stuff, and we're always learning about different types of solutions that might be scalable to our level here in Gravenhurst. So I don't have an immediate answer for you, Councillor, but it's something we can certainly keep an eye out for.
Mr. Lucas, you wanted to add something, and then I'll go over to Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just really to say that the use of Voyant Alert is sort of an ongoing conversation across the region, and what the best functionality of that is. There was some thought that perhaps it should have been used more during different emergency events across the region. The challenge with that is that it's really for alerts as opposed to play-by-play as to what the municipality is doing. So our typical usage has been to provide that initial alert, but then rely on our website and other means of communication that Mr. Jennings has described here as the way of providing updates, play-by-play information, what you can expect as a community. Voyant Alert isn't really designed to do that. So,
Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I'd like just to add my voice to my colleagues there, and I'm sure many of us around this table, that I really think you're doing a great job, and keep it up. I really like what I see coming out of your I was going to say your keyboard, I guess. But the mayor touched on this too, social media. And, you know, I think so many of us feel, and I know, like, I'm a big lurker on Facebook as an example, and the X platform. But rarely do I answer back, except maybe to provide some facts that might be lacking. I know all of us around the table may have a different approach to how we use social media to interact with the community. But I guess my question to you is, you know, we see it. We see the incivility on there, and sometimes the real vile nature of things that come out of conversations, if you will, things that people would never say to your face, but they, behind their keyboard, they can feel they get away with it. So I guess the question is, do you still feel that the usefulness of particularly Facebook and X, I think, outweigh the disadvantages? I know you monitor from time to time, because I do see, you know, there's replies, but is it still a good place to be, or should we as a council be taking a stand against, you know, that incivility and relying less on those platforms?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Jorgensen. I think there's still value in using them. People are out there, they're having conversations on them. The platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or X, we may want to shift away from some of those as the use of those specific platforms either grows smaller or completely disappears. And who uses those platforms is also an interesting thing to consider. And I'll give you a bit of an example. A lot of the incivility that I witness tends to be on Facebook, but I hardly 99.9% of the time throughout the year encounter any of it on Instagram. And I jokingly call Instagram the happy place. For whatever reason, the audience that's there, they don't conduct themselves in the same fashion that you will find on Facebook or on X. Now, I will say the audience on X tends to be other government organizations, media outlets, political watchers, if you will, whereas Facebook is more of a broad audience, and Instagram is as well. So we here at the town of Gravenhurst, we don't experience that same incivility on X. So I don't know if that answers your question, Councillor.
Yeah, just to follow up on that. I mean, you mentioned it. Are there other platforms you're looking at that, do you see other platforms growing? I don't. You know, I see there are other platforms, but they don't seem to be growing in leaps and bounds. And I say it's really, to me, it is a double-edged sword, that especially with the misinformation, and you feel you want to jump in and correct that, but then you get into these horrible conversations sometimes.
Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's value to getting into a back and forth with someone on social media, but I do think if it's on our channels, our specific channels, there's that opportunity to put the correct information out for a person. And the other people, I think you called yourself a lurker a moment ago, there are people that will see that correct information that we've placed there, and you know, they may not comment, they may not like, but at least they'll have access to it, they'll read it, and they'll know what the facts are on an issue, and they can make up their mind on it. The other part of your question, yes, there's other platforms out there. TikTok is one, certainly very popular with a younger demographic. So there may be opportunities in the future to shift to some of these other platforms to do the storytelling that we do to share information.
Okay, Counselor Varney, I turned your on by accident, so I need you to turn it back on again, and then I'll just, there you go, you're all set.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. You mentioned that you do go to conferences and that you share ideas and so on. I'm just thinking of Amber Alert, which is something that we all know when we hear it through our phone, that there's a child missing. Have you ever discussed anything like that when that might possibly come up in the future for emergencies like we had this? I mean, it might be something way up in the future, but I'm just questioning whether that's ever come up, another kind of alert that people would get through their phone or their iPads or whatever, who maybe aren't on iPads or aren't on Facebooks or anything, but it would alert them to a catastrophe that's going to be happening. Like people who, like towns that have wildfires and like we had the storm. I'm just thinking that if we'd had something like that, everybody would have been aware of it. Everybody would have stayed home. There wouldn't have been all these emails and messages going back and forth and confusion. I just wondered if there was anything like that in your conversations with your peers.
Yeah, through your worship, to Councillor Varney. So we've had those types of conversations when I'm at those events, and there are other products out there, but at this point I wouldn't say any of them are vastly different than what we're using. One of the things I do know for emergency communications is when you're dealing with an emergency, you have to repeat your message over and over and over again. And one of the rules of thumb is you have to repeat the message 12 times before it starts to really sink in and for people to get it. And anecdotally, that was something that we saw during the snow event a year ago. It wasn't until day 3 or 4, after we'd done multiple pushes of information, that we started to really see the community knowing that message and sharing that message and amplifying that message for us. So during those types of event, repetition of the message is really key.
Okay, anybody else? Well, I mean, I agree with Councillor Johnston. I think we've come leaps and bounds with communications over the last couple years, and I've heard from people. You know, I've watched that on the link. I appreciated the newsletter. Thanks for that, and it's certainly a conversation starter too. So. And also, I mean, this system helps too. I mean, this is a communication tool as well, so I think that this has been quite good. But I will say thanks to Mike and to the players, because you involve all of the staff, which I think is important to include, you know, so the information comes straight from the horse's mouth. You don't have me talking about you know, a bylaw. You have the person who's in charge of the bylaw to talk about the bylaw, and we've seen that in some of this information. So thank you to you and to the rest of the team who have a part in making this, you know, the information easy to gather. So I'll go back over to Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be very brief. It was just on something you said, and one of the things I wanted to mention about Mr. Jennings. He mentioned the summary of council meetings, and that's the other thing I did mention to him. I said, you have such a very unique way to put that, Mike, and why that's important to me, and we've talked about this at district, is that when the public understand what it is we do, and this is any local government, when the public understands what it is we do and how it can benefit them, then they become more engaged. They're more willing to talk and ask questions and so on. And the summaries that you have done recently about what happens in this room, I thought captured that very well. So I just wanted to point that out, because I think it's a new emerging platform for the public to understand what it is we do in this room and how it's going to benefit them. And then they ask questions, and it helps that they participate in what initiatives we do have. So I wanted to thank you for that. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it's 4:30, I'm going to say we have to vote on that. Okay, so I'll call the vote on that, please, as receiving. So by the time I finish talking, it will be 4:40. So I'm going to suggest we take a 10-minute break, just bio break, and we'll get back at 4:50, please. I was watching the screen waiting for myself to come up there. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for letting us take a quick break. And we are going to roll right into the next item on our agenda, number 3, which is moved by Councillor Strang, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that report number LEG 2025-12, RE use of municipal resources during an election campaign, be received for information, and that the updated use of municipal resources during election campaign policy be adopted. Madam Clerk, this is you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to present this updated report to Council. And just to give you a bit of history and just a little notice on what's been updated and try to be brief. As Council and the community and Ontario should be aware, next year is a municipal election. There are a variety of provisions and requirements in the Municipal Elections Act that municipalities are required to have in place, one of them being a use of municipal resources during a campaign period policy. This policy has been required since 2018, and Gravenhurst has had one. As those around the table and those in Muskoka are aware, us 6 municipal clerks across the district work together to, although we each are running independent elections, to try to make our processes as similar and streamlined as possible, so all those voting in Muskoka have a similar feel. One of the items that was tasked with our group was to update our municipal resource policy for an election and to attempt for Council's consideration at each of our tables a streamlined, consistent policy amongst all of the municipalities. So what you see in front of you is just an updated, revised version of the policy that we already have in place. There is some added detail into it, and the basis of it is based on reviewing in depth all 6 municipalities' existing policies, as well as a lengthy outreach and review of the policies across Ontario to combine together a policy that is modern and affects those best practices that we found in the research across Ontario. So throughout the next couple of months across Muskoka, the intent is that the clerks in each municipality will be bringing forward a similar policy like you see in front of you today. Some of them have a little bit of independent or fine-tuning for the municipality specifically. For example, ours has a different role for staff because we have a very specific code of conduct for staff, which other municipalities don't have. But the intent is for it to sort of all be a similar feel and wording. So generally, the principles of the policy you see in front of you are the same that of our policy framework that we've had in place since 2018, which is a general statement that the municipal resources are prohibited to be used for an individual's campaign for their election. So this includes the use of logos, the use of corporate images, the use of staff uniforms, et cetera, those sorts of imagery into an individual candidate's campaign. The policy also prohibits the use of municipal facilities for campaigning purposes. And this policy does apply to the general public, staff, registered candidates, and registered third parties, and of course, existing members of council. Some people may have multiple roles in those categories, and so this policy has more defined roles and responsibilities. So based on that provincial-wide review and Muskoka best practices, the updated version in front of you for consideration does include some provision for both our federal and provincial elections. It does outline a more streamlined or more identified process for the clerk to provide exemptions, most notably for public spaces for such things as all candidates meeting or meetings and events where candidates may find value in campaigning when it meets the specific criteria, which the most part is sort of an open to all, as well as ensuring that the rental and the use of facilities is done so at the standard rate with no special provisions or discounts or use of staff in ways that would be contrary to a regular rental of a facility. And then, like I said at the beginning or earlier, just updated clearer roles and responsibilities. There is a section here that defines a little bit more detail on the complaint process. Those who have been through an election cycle, and I have been through many now, know that a large volume of work is inquiries regarding infractions of sign bylaw, signs, illegal campaigning, or those sorts of things. And those things do take up a significant amount of resources in the election office, if you will, mostly through myself. So it does provide a little bit more detail on the complaint mechanism program, procedure, should a candidate, should a third party, should a member of the public, et cetera, have an issue that they want addressed. So those are just a really high-level overview. But the basic framework of the policy remains the same as it has always been and just adds a little bit more detail. I do want to identify that while we don't talk about the election as a whole or the role of council and candidates at this table, it is understandable that a municipal election is a different process and a different feel than a provincial or federal election for those members who sit at this table. Whether you choose to file your nominations and run for an additional term, or you decide you don't wish to and you're going to stay till the balance of your term. In provincial and federal elections, the writ's dropped. You're no longer really officially an MP or an MPP. You're kind of like on hold. But here at the municipality, that's not the same. The campaign period is open, and candidates, being yourselves potentially, or members of the public, or anyone else who's qualified, may be putting their names forward for office. But at the same time, municipal business will continue, and you 9 members are officially in this role until November 14th at 11:59 p.m. Even though the election occurs in October, the nomination periods opens in May, nomination periods closes in August. So it is understandable that there is some kind of gray areas between roles and responsibilities during this time. This policy, it's almost impossible to be completely black and white, but the way that it's presented to you does add a little bit more detail and specifications to sort of help define each of those roles, while with the same foundation of campaigns cannot be using the municipal resources for the campaign themselves. So I'm going to leave it at that, but available for any more questions.
Okay, are there any questions for the clerk? Councillor Jorgensen?
Just one very specific one. The policy speaks to photographs as an example, so it's just not 100% clear to me. Say you want to take a photograph in front of the Opera House, which is a municipal facility. It seems to say that is permitted as long as municipal identifiers are not visible. Does that mean you can do it if it doesn't, as long as you don't get Gravenhurst Opera House in the picture, or what?
Thank you. Through the chair, it would really be on, I would have to, again, that's a black and white. It's hard to see the picture. If you have sat on the stairs at the Opera House and are inviting people to come in and sit next to you and talk to you, and like that's part, you're doing a Facebook Live at Opera House, come to the Opera House, I'm out front, come talk to me, that would be an inappropriate use. If it's, you're talking about, here's the heritage features of the town of Gravenhurst and why I want to run for office, and those I would interpret it not, or permitted and not in offense of this policy. So again, it's really difficult because especially a person like myself in this role, who I like black and white and rules, that's the way that it is just understandable that it's an awkward, uncomfortable time, and that is why there's the more detail on if you've got questions or you need to complain, and here's everyone's roles to sort of help it, but sometimes it's just going to be a case-by-case example. Hopefully that's satisfactory. Only those who are registered candidates in an election, which we are not currently in.
Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Worship. Just a question. Will you or your office be providing any sort of, I don't want to use the word training, because there are some instances where people just want to know, what's the process like if I run for office? I know that the district clerk told us yesterday that she's going to be doing that. is your office, or maybe you're doing it with your area clerks? Will there be some sort of, I mean, later on in the process, when they've actually filed and they're new to the process, there might be some sort of training involved there, but I just wondered, even in advance of that, people that are curious about what the process looks like, so that while they're considering whether or not to run for office for the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Johnson. I think that means I owe Clerk Beck something pretty for probing you to bring up this question. We are collaboratively hosting a session on Thursday, I'm just on my calendar, April the 30th. And again, in the new year, I'll officially rip the Band-Aid off and be in full campaigning, or no, sorry, not campaigning mode. Woo, no, full election preparedness mode, which includes a more robust communications campaign, which the communications specialist spoke about, which is the first part of a cycle is to sort of what we can do, support candidates and let people know what being a candidate is, what being a municipal councillor is, roles and responsibility, how, as well as, you know, lots of happening under in the back. But we are hosting a session on Thursday, April 30th in the evening. It is going to be hosted at the district office with the district clerk in presence, as well as the other clerks. And we will also be, it is virtual for those who wishes, and we have 2 groups coming to present. The ministry is coming to talk about the legislative role of what it means to be a councillor, how to file papers and all that kind of stuff. We also have a firm coming, and their firm is called Clerks on Call. They are made up of a group of retired clerks, as well as one happens to be sitting councillor now. And they are going to coming to add another feature of the more non-legislative, the actual reality of the role of councillor. So the volume of meetings, the preparation, the topics, how to engage, and so yes. Long story, yes, and it's a buzz to go into Mr. Jennings' future council highlights about lots of those things happening in place. We heard a lot of feedback, and it's not unique to Gravenhurst, but after the 2022 election, we heard a lot of feedback of people not familiar with the candidates, not familiar with the platforms or the mechanisms. So our intent for being the municipal clerks across Muskoka, our intent for 2026 is to once again try some innovative and unique ways to reach out to people to, number one, show interest in the election, registering to be a candidate if that's what you choose, and then more details on why it's a valuable exercise and honorable to be able to be elected and sit at this table and make these sorts of decisions. So that is one mechanism of the multi-tools that we're hoping to initiate. And I must say, there's such value of working with my 5 other municipal clerks, plus the upper tier clerk, because we're able to pool our resources to share and put together sessions such as this that would almost be impossible for me independently on the town of Gravenhurst returning officer role to take care of by myself. And so I'm very grateful for that networking, but also because of the district council roles and our third-party advertisers, which sort of go in between all of the 6 municipalities. It's really important and really helpful for all of us to be working collaboratively in that general theme of register for office and, of course, most importantly, vote.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none. So I'll ask you to vote on that. That carried, thank you. Okay, next we're moving on to the Municipal Heritage Committee 2026 Work Plan, report number DEV 2025-86. Be it resolved that report number DEV 2025-86, RE Municipal Heritage Committee 2026 Work Plan be received for information, and that committee approve the Municipal Heritage Committee 2026 Work Plan. So with that, we have our I was going to say board, but Heritage Committee Chair, Ms. Lindsay Neelan. So welcome to you, and I'll thank you in advance for your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm just going to go over our plan. So at the top, you can see that there's a role for Ontario Heritage Act. So we advise council. We also work on the municipal register. We have designation of properties. And we've done an update as well on the website so that if anyone wishes to designate their own property, they can fill out a form right on the town website to do so. And that will come right to the Heritage Committee. We also do committee education. And in the next section, we have promotional programs. So our plan for this year is to do 2 plaquings of property recognition. So that's sort of on our work plan for that. We have ongoing promotion and website updates. So we're working on brochures. We're also working on a designation guide, which is, I believe part of it's live on the website already, and some rack cards to be out front, the town's website and articles, and working together to get those put up with partner organizations, and one of those being the Muskoka Built. So we have that in our second section there. We are working on community activities as well, and our Built Heritage Awards. And we also have that on the website as well. So if there's anyone out there who would like to put someone forward for a Built Heritage Award, they can fill out the form as well on the website. And community activities, being available for town events and walking tours, those are always available. We also have those on the website. They've changed up the link and there's a map available, which is great. We are working on, in our interpretive signage group, we are hoping to put in an entire walking tour with signs all along the bay, which will tell you about historic buildings that were there. As you walk along, there'll be some signs, and it'll just be a great, beautiful thing to add. We're going to put that on the website as well, so that will be live with pictures, and people can follow along with that, which is wonderful. We are also going to be doing Doors Open Again for 2027. So we're going to work together to get more people registered. I believe we had, correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, I think we had 10, 11 properties. Some were online, some were self-guided, some had our Heritage Committee there available, which was wonderful. So we're going to get that organized for 2027. And then the next section, survey, inventory, research, and documents. We are working on properties of interest. We have a list that we're going through, and we have 3 that we're working on trying to plaque. We're going to continue to update our heritage inventory. There's 300 plus buildings in the inventory already, and more are going to be added as they're discovered. We are mapping our heritage properties as well. So we're continuing to update available mapping and adding that to the website. So anyone who wants to see where heritage buildings or heritage places are within our community, they can access that on the town website. And we're working with Muskoka Built and ACO, Muskoka Branch, to include register information on their Muskoka Built platform. And if you haven't had a look at it, it's great. It's got lots of places all over Muskoka in there, including some of our own. And municipal review, so we look at zoning bylaws and we review the official plan as well. Was there anything you wanted to add, Randy?
I'm live. Okay. Oh, thanks. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. Thanks. Through you, your worship as well. Yeah. Thanks. I think Lindsay's touched on all the aspects there. I just want to remind people that during the budget process, I want to, we have a pretty ambitious program here, and specifically during that budget process, we got some extra funds for this committee, which we are very thankful for. And specifically, we want to, as Lindsay touched on, that trail down at the wharf. One of the things that's going to be, I think, really cool is you'll see where all the old sawmills, which location they were in. And I mean, actually, I think the hull of the old Sagamo, if I'm not mistaken, is buried there as well as one of the break walls. So things like that. So I think that'll be a great addition. And as Lindsay stated during the open doors, I was really surprised how many you know, people from out of town were there specifically for that. So there is a big interest in heritage tourism, if you will. So, look, it's pretty ambitious program we're only going to be operating for part of the year, I guess, because committees stop after we
June.
don't continue, I guess, in the summer.
No, June's our end date.
I think we've got 6 months to get this all wrapped up, so.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate our committee members who take part in these things. I mean, without our volunteers, we wouldn't get most of the things done. So I know it's a lively discussion at times, and I think everybody is very interested in heritage. And so thank you for coming today. and
Thanks for having me.
presenting this. Were there any other questions for Ms. Nealon? Okay, well, thanks again for coming.
Thank you.
Now I'll call the vote on the adoption of the work plan. Oh, it carries, thank you. This is the next order of business, which the clerk in a pinch was able to help get together at about quarter, I guess it was about 1:45. We came across a situation that we are on very quick on the fly going to rectify. So I will read this and then I'll ask the mover to speak to it. It is moved by Councillor Jorgensen, second by Councillor Johnston. Whereas the Municipal Act, Section 226, identifies that a municipality may, with the consent of the head of council, appoint a member of council to act in the place of head of council. And whereas an unexpected turn of events will leave the municipality without a mayor or deputy mayor within the boundaries of the province of Ontario for a temporary period. And whereas in an effort to maintain continuity of an available head of council with formal legislative authority during this time, a temporary deputy mayor must be appointed. Therefore, be it resolved that Councillor Strength be appointed as deputy mayor from December 22nd until January 5th, 2026, and that Councillor Jorgensen be appointed as deputy mayor from January 26th until the balance of the 2022-2026 term of council. Councillor Jorgensen, do you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, this is where I fall on my sword. It's entirely my fault that this happened. I ended up booking Christmas out west when my daughter wasn't able to come and visit us. And at the time, I realized, we don't have any council meetings, but I didn't think towards the coverage that was required. So it's my fault, I'm afraid. So I hope you'll support this so that I can crawl out from under the table.
Okay. Members of the council? Okay. Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, through you. I have a little bit of a problem with this is because I was appointed in 2022 at the election time, and I was initially selected as the acting mayor for the 2022-2026 term, an ongoing role to substitute when the mayor and deputy mayor are both absent. The position of acting mayor typically refers to a councillor who serves in the mayor's absence or a specific council structure. I am the acting mayor, and I do believe that my position as acting mayor, from according to what I read, and that I should be appointed as acting mayor while the deputy and the mayor are away. I would like point of clarification in how and why this came about. without, I mean, I got one phone call just before the meeting, and I know it was a short notice, and I appreciate that. But the fact is that I am appointed by council, by the mayor, as the acting mayor. And I do think that I should be able to act as the acting mayor for those dates that the council, or that the mayor and the deputy mayor will be away. Those are my comments, and I would like to have some sort of a reconciliation answer as to why, when it specifically states that I was selected as the acting mayor for the term, while the deputy mayor and the mayor were both absent. Thank you.
Okay, so I will be the one to address this because it's my choice who is the deputy mayor. I have been in the position where there has not been backup for the mayor's position. During an emergency, both the deputy mayor and the acting mayor were not in the municipality, and it was very taxing. So in this instance, we're not changing the acting mayor. The acting mayor will still be in place to back up for the deputy mayor. The deputy mayor is the one who is leaving, and this is over the Christmas holiday. No one is going to be away. Nobody is even here during this, is going to be away, nobody is going to be here during this. This is in the instance that something goes extremely wrong. I have come to this decision to make. It's my decision to make. I do hope council will support this. I do believe there should be two people of a responsibility role while the mayor, again, it's my appointee, is out of the community. So I feel most comfortable with this decision. Again, it's my decision. I am not taking away the counselor's acting role position. That is still in place. This is a temporary thing. We've got, I consulted, again, this happened at 1:45 today that we did this, so we came up with a quick fix. We don't have to move one position and play a shell game. This is the easiest, fastest way to get this done today. It expires on the 6th of January, and I would hope that council will support my decision to appoint a deputy mayor today. So I'm not really in the position to argue about this. So if there's anything further, Councillor Cairns has made her point very clear. So if there's anything further, I'll allow her to speak. But that's the reason why we made this decision with half an hour towards a council meeting. I could get in touch with everyone, and that's why we're here. Councillor Cairns?
Your Worship, I feel that is wrong. I don't think that was fair. I believe that it states in here that when the mayor and the deputy mayor are away, it is the role of the acting mayor to sit in that position. Regardless if we have a council or a session, or we have anyone sitting or in the office, I know it's closed, but I am here and I'm willing, and you never even asked me. And I'm very disappointed in your direction. And I do believe that I was appointed as acting mayor to fill into the position while where the mayor and the deputy mayor were absent. And I will follow up with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, council, anybody else have any comments? Okay, so I will call the question. And that carries. Thank you. Okay, so that's council. That's a wrap. updates from council. Councillor Johnston.
Well, through your worship, I'm going to take a page from Councillor Glover, who yesterday at District Council stood up to give his committee report, and he said, as far as my committee report is concerned, I have nothing to say, and sat down. And he got thunderous applause. So I'm saying the same thing. And the reason for that is that my comment at the last meeting about IWM and MWC is that there will be some significant changes starting in January, so I have nothing further to add. Thank you. Yes, thunderous applause.
Okay, you gotta have a sense of humor, right? Gotta have a sense of humor. Okay, well, we appreciate that. Thanks for making it quick. That leaves me to my updates. I don't have a lot. I think that it's been a very interesting year. Watch for Cogeco. I am going to do a interview on Friday about a year end at Gravenhurst, and we have lots to be proud of in this community. So I think we have, lots to look forward to in 2026. And I think, and another thing happening in 2026 is yours truly is going to be on the plenary stage at Roma. So I'm going to talk about the Health Hub, which is super exciting for the Health Hub people. They're pumped, and I'm pretty pumped too, because the word to get out this conversation, how it's such an innovation, great idea that this community has come up with. And the fact that I get to go into a room of municipal politicians and sit up on the stage and brag about all the great things going on in this community, it really humbles me. So it has been a great year. I'm so proud to be the mayor of this community. I am going to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas. And a happy Hanukkah. We started Hanukkah 2 days ago. So, the people who celebrate the Jewish faith started celebrating Hanukkah 2 days ago. And so we wish them the best. And however you celebrate and whoever you celebrate it with, I hope you have a very wonderful holidays and hope everybody gets a bit of rest. And again, nothing's going to happen, Todd. I promise. Nothing's going to happen. So with that, I think I'll wrap it up there. I want to thank staff and council. Again, I appreciate all the work you all put in all the time. I think we do have a lot to be proud of in 2025 and going into 2026. So that's my update, because I think we're going to breeze right through council. So I will just adjourn committee of the whole. So Councillor Hunter and Councillor Robinson. Okay. That carries. Thank you. Oh, okay. It's moved by Councillor Cairns, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the council agenda as presented on December 16, 2025 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on the council agenda, council? Okay, seeing none. It is moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the council minutes from November 18th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Is moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Robinson. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole minutes from November 18th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? That That carries. And it's moved by Counselor Strength, second by Counselor Varney. Be it resolved, the following bylaws be read, passed, and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2025-89, 2026 interim tax levy. Bylaw number 2025-90, 2026 temporary borrowing. Bylaw number 2025-91, amendment to parking control bylaw. Bylaw number 2025-70. Please vote on those. And it is moved by Counselor Karen, second by Counselor Hunter. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-92 to confirm the council meeting held on December 16th, 2025 be passed. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. And a motion to adjourn, Counselor Johnston and Counselor Varney. Please vote. And that's a wrap.